Welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we take a break from the gaming news and talk more about the technology sitting behind it, making it possible. Like this week, man, we're going to be talking about Chrome. It's going to nuke Flash, unlike, Firefox kind of did a while back. We got a couple of vendors that want to sell you some penguin-flavored Lappies and Linux hacks Windows, man. But I'm Vince Stone.
Hi, I'm Pedro Medeiros.
And I am Mathieu Commando.
He's great. He's awesome. But let's just get right into it, okay?
Yes. And Strider, you like to talk about Let's Encrypt, so...
Yeah, Let's Encrypt. I'm a huge fan. I use it for basically all my websites. And they're trying to make their own root certificates, their own certificate authority. And so far what they've been doing is they have been using a third-party CA routes to have their certificates trusted by browsers, OS, and such things. And what they're trying to do is push out their own thing. So they're really independent. And Firefox 50 is going to trust this authority. That is a good step in the right direction in having Let's Encrypt like totally trusted across everything. I'm very glad that this is
definitely having Let's Encrypt, being their own root. Yeah, that is kind of neat. And Pedro, you got to admit, creating a new root and getting it trusted, man, that is not a small task.
No, it isn't, because you basically have to get certified with everything. That includes operating systems. You have to get those certificates through, let's say, just limiting it to the Linux side. You need Red Hat, Debian, Canonical, Google, and a few others. You need to get through all of those and then support all the browsers, although since Firefox is already bringing it into version 50, we're currently at version 48 on the stable branch, so it shouldn't be long now, hopefully. And chances are Google's probably just going to follow right on track. I don't see why not.
Super sweet. Awesome project. We do love it. But, Strider, you do have to admit, PiPi infinitely better in every possible conceivable way than just regular Python, isn't it?
It's supposed to be better, and yet no one uses it. I don't know why. I only uses CPython. But yeah, they are bringing support for Python 3.5 in the near future. But for that, they need a little money to pay their developers. So who comes up? It's Mozilla, who gives a very large amount
$200,000 with stinky cash?
$200,000 for the project in order to bring support for Python 3.5. So currently they have a very solid implementation of Python 2. This supports Python 3.2 or 2.3 almost, and they are working on this 3.5 implementation. And I'm hoping this catches on, and because so PiPi, what is it? It's Python interpreter built with Python. So what it does, it compiles into C code at runtime. So it's supposedly much faster than the regular Python. I hope this will get something good out of it. Nice job out of Mozilla to give some cash to the project. So that's some great stuff.
So, what do you think this is going to do? Is this going to speed stuff up? Is Mozilla, they're doing a lot of stuff out of the goodness of their heart, but maybe there's some thinkings like, how can we get some use out of this in the future? Is that a thing?
I don't know if they're using PiPi internally. I know that they have been donating to projects. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and there were mostly privacy and encryption projects.
Yeah, and they're getting a sizable check from the folks at Yahoo. If Yahoo goes down, at least Mozilla will have done something with their money, right? All right, so speaking of stuff that should have already been done a long, long time ago, Chrome is finally phasing out Flash slowly.
No, wait. So they're phasing out the Flash, kind of like they did with the movie, instead of using the character from the TV series. Because yeah,
correct. Yeah, but at least the TV series is mildly entertaining. Flash as a web content delivery system is outdated, like really, really outdated. And in my opinion, the biggest security hole still open under Linux. But Google have finally decided to put their feet back on the ground and say, yeah, it's time we started to kill Flash off once and for all, because it's time. And they're going to be slowly phasing it out. They're going to start blocking some of the most intrusive ads and scripts.
Yeah, basically in December, Chrome 55 HTML5 is going to be the default. Something you might be saying, but wait a minute, I don't know. Well, you still do have the flashes on the Chromes, but isn't it?
If you have Chrome installed.
Yeah, right. You have to enable it. Doesn't it ship it just disabled? And then you go to like Twitch. Well, you're like, wait a minute. Twitch videos. Because Twitch is finally, they're selectively rolling out their HTML.
Slowly.
Right.
They have an HTML5.
They had to work really hard to make sure they could get the ads to roll in that outside of the Flash, so you couldn't block
And this bugs me, because this is Google we're talking about. How is Flash still a thing? Because especially, coming from Chrome, Google, considering the desktop usage share that Chrome currently has, they've had the power to kill it for years now.
Well, man, you gotta, I agree with you. Even Adobe is like, yeah, light that thing. Nothing a good coat of fire won't solve.
Adobe themselves have said, no, we don't want to deal with it anymore. Just kill it.
Yeah, I would just wish that they would not kill it totally. I mean, if we still have a way to run Flash content, that's fine. That's very good that they are blocking like
you can use Gnash.
Stuff.
Gnash, man.
Gnash does not run everything. I mean, Gnash does run things, but not everything. So currently, Chrome has the latest and most up-to-date Flash version. But yeah, it must stick around, like just to be able to place those Flash cartoons and games that we have currently, because if Flash were to die...
Strider, most of your Flash cartoons and your games are already using, most of those sites are using HTML5 now, man.
Yeah, Miniclip has started porting everything over to JavaScript and HTML5. There were a couple of sites like Dagobah and a few others that used to be big, kind of in the Newgrounds days, but there are a lot of people that have started uploading that content to YouTube. So
YouTube is not really the same. I mean, this video...
Yeah, no, you can't really loop it directly from YouTube.
Yes. No, it's a big part of internet history. And if we have some way to run this thing, then I'm okay. I mean, yeah.
Listen, man, do you know what else is a part of internet history? Microsoft Bob. All right, just let it go, man. let it go. Put it down in the ground, because it's time to jump.
Oh, yes. Speaking of redundancy, hello, I'm the Redundancy Fairy. I'm here to not just introduce you to a new music player, because we need more of those, but also an Electron Framework music player.
Keeps getting better.
Why? Hello, I'm the Redundancy Fairy. Yeah, this is Musics, brought to you by OMG Ubuntu. Don't worry, you'll be able to find the links in the show notes. It's a music player which relies on the Electron framework, because having a native local music player is just too mainstream nowadays.
Well, it's kind of local, but I've put it to the test, and this is the test I put all media players when I first tried them, is, okay, I'll give you this library of 60,000 tracks, and you index it in a reasonable time, and more or less in real time, so I can start using it while it's indexing. Didn't go so well. I think I shut it down in somewhere around 10%. I was doing some other stuff. I might have rebooted the computer.
Okay, when you say 10%, you say did it reach 10% like next Tuesday, or did it hit 10% in 30 minutes?
I don't know, because I launched the indexation.
Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, bringing you the most accurate, in-depth benchmarks.
No, I rebooted my computer, and when I restarted the application, I had 6,000 tracks indexed, not 60,000 tracks. So.
I mean, how was the XML performance?
The XML should be pretty good, but that's not the problem.
The one thing, I mean, it's a thing. It's called Musics, which I'm guessing,
Yes.
you know, maybe they get a bonus point because they're a fan of Rick and Morty, which everyone should be. Here's something I want to ask everyone, including everyone in chat. And if you want to leave us a comment on the YouTube video, or if you're listening with the audio, go over Linux Themecast and hit that button. Who really keeps, like, on their desktop? I'm not talking about your laptop. I'm talking like on your gaming rig or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's my production box with all the monitors, like a dedicated something like Amarok or something like that, to listen while you're at your desktop, as opposed to maybe your Android device or your iOS device, if you hate yourself, and just pipe it like through your speakers and Sonos or anything like that.
Admittedly, I use
mean,
Rhythmbox because I have a couple of audio streams like podcasts and web radios that I listen to, but that's it.
No, as I said, I have 60,000 tracks, so I use Rhythmbox with it. Rhythmbox is awesome. It's pretty fast, pretty stable. Does keep my library up to date quite easily. So yeah, I use that, and I use Audacious when I don't need my library.
Okay. Yeah, Truggy's saying he's got Audacious running on his Raspberry. I have very, like, not physical. Well, geez, man. Welcome to 2016. You consider physical media which you have actually stored locally. Yeah, I have a couple of tracks. I just run those through Plex. Anything else? I mean, between my Amazon Prime, I got the music on there, and Google Play Music, which, that's like me in the morning. I have a couple of, like, stations. It's like, okay, Google, what? Play, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
The house
And the
lights up.
best part is, even in a desktop environment, if you enable the Google Now functionality on the desktop and you install the Play Music extension to the Chrome browser, you can do that on your PC. You just say, okay, Google, play what have yous, and it will.
Pretty neat. But if we're going to talk about music, we need to talk about a way to mix it, because it's PA Mix. Formerly, if you were to believe that it was the one and only, like, in-curses based audio editor, and they kind of changed that one.
Except for all the others.
Yeah. Somebody kind of came in and was like, what about Pack Mixer and Pulse Mixer, for Pulse Audio? And he's like, oh, well, not literally, guys, but it's still a fun project. It looks kind of neat. And whatever's going on with this GIF will, like, you saw me had to cut away because it will freeze up your gosh darn box for a second while it's processing this. But you can open this in a terminal, and you can definitely rock it out. Pedro, you do have some experience, like, from way back in the day, getting everything to work, right?
Not as back as you, but yeah, this brings me back to the days of Ubuntu 904, when the first thing you needed to do when you installed it was to install a little CLI tool called Also Mixer and unmute the internal audio sync so you could actually listen to stuff. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I definitely remember back in the day. It was early Red Hat. I want to say Red Hat 5.2, somewhere in there. Sound config, with your PCI or ISA card. And my name is Linus Torvalds, and I pronounce Linux. I heard that so many. We're talking like you had to recompile your kernel every time. This was like the old days. It was like, if you got sound working, that was an accomplishment. That's something you did a happy dance around the house. So, Strider, you just like Pavu Control, which I do. I think it...
Yeah, Pavu Control does everything I need. I mean, I'm not looking for something that is text-based. So, yeah, I mean, Pavu Control has much more options. You can do pretty much everything with it. So I'll stick with it for the time being.
Yeah, and if you're using KDE, even the 4.0 versions, you get the exact same functionality you get from this tool from the K-Mix tray icon that you get right down there in the panel.
Yeah, but you do not have this wicked cool ASCII stuff rocking around, man. I mean, this is a neat little project, and I guarantee some arch user already has it installed so they can look like Elite Haxer before they boot back into Windows 10. But we need to talk about people who are actually Elite Haxers. They're the people backing this show, our sponsors, our Patreons, nay, the best people in the world. Not just this show, but you might see this other thing up here called Linux Gamecast Weekly. That's our big show we do on Saturdays. Just straight gaming nonsense. You can probably tell by the horse in the picture if you're watching the video version. Things get a bit sideways. Pretty awesome. But, check out patreon.com. If not for us, for the other cool projects on here, we do have rewards if you want to kick us, a nickel a show, a quarter a show, $100 a show. That'd be awesome, Brad. You're going to get some early access to some things. We got some custom titles and a thing we like to call chat room, like this right here. This is the Starbound that we decided to play because we'd all played Starbound for the review we did last week, and we all kind of went, yeah, it's kind of boring. I was like, brilliant idea. How about all three of us? We'll play it. We'll make it fun. And after 30 minutes, we're like, yeah, this is kind of boring.
About 30 minutes later, we're all each in our own places, not looking at one another anymore. Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely, if you want to kick in 5 cents, there's a full 1080p 60 frames a second version of that up there with mastered audio. So you can watch Jordan and Pedro play while I attempt to maintain consciousness. Just why?
So how do I do this again?
Right. Why was I programmed to feel pain? Also, if you want to go over to linuxgamecast.com, support the shows and do all that business. We're horrible at self-promotion too, so share this things, click on the up buttons and stuff and help us out because we're really, really bad at doing that. Now that I feel dirty, let's get back to some news.
Yes, some news. So apparently there's a new Linux store that you can go down to and pick up a Linux computer.
Oh, cool.
Of sorts. Well, you can actually pick up several laptops and 2 all-in-ones.
Okay.
Yeah, at least they claim you can, because there's a bunch of people, I saw this come up on the R Linux subreddit, and there were a bunch of people questioning the legitimacy of this store.
Oh, we're just going to go to the information. We're going to click there about, wait.
Yes, precisely. Yeah, there's a bit missing from there.
Yeah,
the
Pedro, explain to the audio listeners what we're seeing on the About Us page.
You see about us, about us, about us. About us again. Yeah, that's it. That's all it says. But yeah, people were questioning the legitimacy of the website, and while the prices are tempting, I don't want to pay 300 UK pounds to test the legitimacy for the possible cheapest laptop that you can get from them. Now, if they reply to my email, maybe we'll give them a plug. Maybe even get a little review unit, as it were, to throw some
matter. Pedro, man. When it comes down to like Pedro getting stuff, he is like on it.
Yeah, I do like getting free stuff.
He takes the initiative. You don't even have to mention it to him. This is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, that's what's cool is that we are not really used to have like regularly priced hardware when it comes to stuff that ships with Linux, and this was a kind of good surprise. Then again, I don't know how the UK pound is doing these days. So I didn't do the conversion.
You're about $11 to $1.11.
Okay, so yeah, it seems like reasonably priced. What I didn't like on their website is that the total amount doesn't update when you add options. So you have to go to checkout and see the total price and say, okay, this doesn't.
So you're just like price. Sitting there rocking on. He's like, yeah, whoa. So that's a bad idea. You don't want to surprise people with numbers like that at the end, because that'll get the.
That's how you get buyer's regret.
Yep. But yeah, that's definitely a thing. Let's just keep an eye on them, because we don't know. We're not throwing rocks. We're saying this is here. The About Us thing, a little bit sketchy. Good prices, but yeah, let's. Somebody needs to take the Pepsi challenge, get out there, order one, and let's see what happens with that. But we're not done.
Yeah, we have another
little store
vendor that is shipping with Linux, even if they
These
don't
are
say...
shipping, have shipped, and people have received them.
No, that's good, and they have a little bit more content on their websites than the previous one. The huge difference about this is that, well, their goal is to protect freedom, privacy, and all these things. But it's also much more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you'll get for a small, it's a sort of a tablet laptop combo. You'll be starting with $600 for the lowest.
$600
it's
equals
$1,300.
And it goes up to almost $2,000. Yeah, so
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm looking at this though. I was like, come on, okay. This is the unicorn right here. This is the x86 Linux tablet, and that's also. I mean, it's basically a convertible. And this is not rebranded. Hey, let's put our logo on. These guys source the motherboards for these things. They was like, okay, we need you to make these motherboards to this spec. They also have their own spin of Linux for that if you want to run it on there. They got a big thing about, all the freedom-y stuff, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I saw that x86 convertible, and other Vin is like, we wants it. And I was like, dude, no, we don't need it. Then the other Vin saw the price and is like, yeah, bro.
No.
Yeah, definitely no on that. Check it out. They got a couple of things. Like I said, Pure OS. I want to give them a plug for that.
Sure, yeah.
Pretty
and
neat.
It also works with Cube OS, which is that other OS which basically runs everything in its own sandbox.
Okay.
That's a neat idea as well. But yeah, the cheapest laptop netbook that you can get from them is $600. It's the Librem 10. The Librem 15 with the 4K screen and everything else. It's with the 4K screen, it's $1,900. So
no, I do believe they said there's a little bit of a back order with the 4K. The 2K screens are shipping, and I think they're coming with GNOME, so they have the high DPI settings. Here's something I want to ask before we switch to the next story. Now, usually when you pay a premium for something like this, you're paying for support. If you're having a problem
because you're not
getting a person on the phone, or preferably, describing your problem to them via text message using nothing but emoticons. I'm sure they get that. But how are these, both of these companies that we mentioned, how are they going to deal with support? That's going to, I think, be the big thing, because I don't think either of these companies, well, maybe the first one, the previous one we mentioned, like, here's the hardware, go away. This company seems like they're trying to, with their own spin of the Linux kernel.
They have their own OS.
Yeah, definitely with that.
One thing I did notice is that they have obviously GNOME installed as their main desktop, but they did a very good job avoiding any mention of either Linux or GNOME on almost all their website. There is a mention of Linux in their FAQ, but that's about it.
So they took the canonical approach.
Yeah, it's very much like Canonical in avoiding anything mentioning Linux.
Which is not a bad idea, all things considered, because there's a big stigma associated with Linux. So
we also have to be careful. That's a double-edged chainsaw, because somebody buys this thinking they're going to get Winbros 10 on it. And they're like, what? Why won't my copy CD Easy CD Creator version 6 not work? And they'll be very confused. One thing, we're taking a little too long on this. This video, whoever did the voiceover, you did fine. Whoever was in charge of recording the voiceover for this video, and whoever greenlit that getting onto that video and actually published, bang. All right, bad job, bad boy. Somebody whack that person, or girl, or whatever. Airwolfkin. Somebody needs to be booped on the nose. That's horrible. Call me. Maybe we can fix that. Why is this a thing? Why do I have to read? Well, who didn't know this is more importantly. BQ says they don't have any plans for the new Ubuntu phones. I think if we're being honest, Pedro, I don't think Ubuntu did either.
Yeah, honestly, they really didn't, because we haven't really heard any big news coming out of Ubuntu OS development for phones and tablets and what have you, Ubuntu Mobile or whatever they call it. Yeah, no, we haven't. And the guys at BQ, when someone poked them on Twitter about whether or not there would be new Linux phones or Ubuntu mobile phones, they said, we have no plans for that at the moment.
Well,
and
they say the Aquaria E 4.5 sold well enough for a follow-up device. This is just the way I'm reading it is like, oh, heck no.
Yeah, no, all things considered, it kind of makes sense to have some sort of prototype, flagship, showcase, whatever you want to call it, device to run the OS and show what it can do and do it well. That was the problem, because the BQ devices and the that 10-inch tablet that they have has been repeatedly shown on video to crash and stutter and just outright stop. So they haven't exactly been doing a good job with showing what Ubuntu can do. Maybe it's the mobile version of Ubuntu that isn't properly optimized, or, perhaps the phones and the tablets that they loaded it on aren't exactly fast.
Okay, first I just want to say, Steve, that actually caused me to physically twitch. But what I think is they bought into the hype, because you remember they did a Indiegogo or Kickstarter. Canonical did. They're like, we're going to release a phone. Do you know what that was? That was called market research. They wanted to see how many people were. They didn't ever plan on that thing getting funded because
32 million Indiegogo.
They needed an actual metric so they could take that metric and shop it around to some sucker and say, look, these many people, because that's a very viable. That translates into sales. Apparently, it doesn't, and it didn't. Strider, do you have any thoughts?
But the previous phones that they sold with Ubuntu, they were called the Developer Edition, I guess. I think that they were. That's the thing. It's aimed at developers, and you can't sell Ubuntu in its current state, and it's not finished. It's not usable. You have to wait for it to mature a bit, and
to have more apps.
More stability, more features. Right now, it's not in a usable state, and they are making huge progress. I guess that 16.10 would be a good version for the Ubuntu Touch, but it's still not ready for the general public. So I think it's reasonable to wait for a usable version of Ubuntu Touch before thinking about.
Hopefully, eventually, it's
devices.
going to get there. People go where the apps are. I mean, that's it. I'm sorry, but outside of a developer going, "Oh, that's neat," Tinker Toy, which I would personally love one.
I get that too.
Right, exactly. We have that need, but your average person is like, "Can I install my streaming music? Can I put Netflix on it?" No. I don't need that. And the only way you're going to compete with right now, currently, until the technology gets there, and you get the apps on that system with Android or iOS, the only way you can compete with those two right now, Microsoft learned this the hard way, because you know what? They didn't have a time machine, and that's the only way you're going to pull that off in 2016. Okay. Hi, NSA.
Hi, NSA. Yes, there is a new update for LibreOffice 5.2, and it includes classified documents. Yes, and a streamlined interface.
Oh, you're going to make a Hillary joke, aren't you?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
So,
you didn't get your hat.
Before we get to that,
go ahead.
The streamlined interface is a much needed improvement. The only reason that Microsoft Office managed to get away with having a 100 pixel tall ribbon at the top was because they gave you a chance to hide it when it wasn't in focus. That was a good thing. It was sorely lacking in LibreOffice. But the other thing, which is the classified documents, is I can't help but think that sharing, let's say, an ODT file over the internet with a big confidential flag over it, it's exactly the kind of thing that the NSA is always looking for. Unless you're Hillary
You'd be kind of stupid to transfer those in plain text if they were confidential.
That's why you send it to the care. Ooh, wow, you almost got it.
Precisely. But yeah, no, it's the new version of LibreOffice. They have a few other improvements. You can read the full changelog if you go to their website. But yeah, just the whole having big bold letters at the top saying confidential. That's just like, yep, gimme. I want to see it.
I don't know, Matthew. Do you think Pedro is being paranoid or not paranoid enough?
Those flags, those confidential flags, they're not really any use for protecting data. So if you want to have your data really confidential, then you use encryption. You could use secure methods to. That's more of a legal
or
way.
Maybe use a private email server to share.
Shut up. Okay, well,
that's legal.
Before we get out of that, here's something. Let's try to put a positive spin on it. That's non-political for once. How many people at home do you use Office now? I understand if you're at work and work's like, derp, we got to use this, and you're using Office, whatever, with Access, and you're stuck doing that. But I'm talking about home. I mean, do you have LibreOffice installed? Do you have StarOffice, Flying Spaghetti Monster Forbid installed? And I mean, I have a copy of LibreOffice way up here on this monitor as kind of my show notes monitor. But outside of that, the only use of this is to copy the Google Docs that we spent all weekend onto this, because unlike Google Chrome or Firefox, Google Docs doesn't chew up 100% of a CPU core when you scroll it. This has a better use. That's the only use I have for it. So I'm just wondering, I think it's pretty much even like Office 365 on Microsoft's end, because they're desperately trying to catch up. They didn't see the Google Docs train chewing in. Everybody's doing everything in the cloud. I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing, left thing, or sideways, but it is.
So that's the thing I noticed in the release notes for this LibreOffice version, is that they have better integration with Google Docs. So you're supposed to be able to open your Google Docs files within LibreOffice, and they will update.
You can even local files that you have stored, you can save those to Google Docs. It does all the necessary. It already did that with past versions. It's now it just does it better.
Now, there's one thing that Google Docs. I mean, thank you, Google. You've already destroyed my ability to spiel. That's gone. I just aim for like 60% of the word. Yeah, and over the years, I don't even have to go for that. I'm down to like 35%. And now you're attacking my limited grasp of English grammar, because you're fixing that for me too while I'm typing. But I saw Jill use AbbeyWord. Man, AbbeyWord's great. AbbeyWord's even has like a grammar plugin that is hilarious to use. It's pretty good. Okay, so let's. What is this?
Dipping
guac?
sauce?
I don't. Avocado?
So that is Cloud in a Box. So what is this? Well, the full project name is Cloud in a Box, Guacamole, Tomcat, MySQL, Nginx, LXD, Remote Desktop. So that's the full name. So what is this? It's a bunch of scripts that when you launch them, then you will be able to get remote desktops for Ubuntu Mate within a browser. So you don't have to install any remote desktop clients to use them. You just open a browser, you have to type in the right URL, and there you have your Ubuntu Mate desktop. It's kind of neat. I like the idea. It's using, so Guacamole is the remote desktop server that will enable the HTML5 integration. So you can access desktops through your browser. The rest of it's served with, it uses LXD to make containers for Ubuntu Mate. It's kind of cool. I've almost completed the tutorial, so it's kind of working on my box. I've made it on VM. I hadn't made it fully working, but it's good progress. The only issue I have with it is the name. I mean, what kind of name is this? I mean, imagine if Lutris was called Python GTK Steam Wine Emulator Games. What kind of name would it be?
Well, I mean, if you called it that, people might use it.
No, you see, my issue with this is, what is this for? I mean, it's neat. I'll give him that. The neat factor is off the charts. But what's this for?
So the guy who made this for schools mostly because they had these old computers and all.
Dumb terminals.
None of them.
Okay, all right.
So this was part of a paid projects within a school for distributing same environments to all students. So I think this is a pretty neat idea for this.
Yeah, making dumb terminals so that you have a bunch of computers, regardless of how different they are. They just open a browser like Chrome and kiosk mode. They don't give the person access outside of the browser, and everything works inside it. So it's a dumb terminal. All right, I can see that.
I'm glad you were able to wrap your mind around it. So, we had a risk from the Linux kernel hidden in Windows 10. Hidden. I love how they bait, you're not going to be allowed on Facebook with that clickbait. Exposed
Not anymore.
Black Hat. No, they're definitely talking about this. First of all, Ooga Booga, everyone run, because, guess what? If you install a third-party program, or in this case, Microsoft shoves some crap in there, and it's Microsoft, your attack vector gets larger. Okay? Let's everyone kind of, try to remember that. The first thing I read, because we all know that Windows 10 has some Linuxy bits in it. Right. Okay. Linus, he's like, I won, he did the koala gif, lit it up, boom, walked away. Starting off reading this, and I want to quote this bit, because it does say Linux on Windows is not running inside a Hyper-V hypervisor. It's like jaw floor. Apparently this thing.
That's the first problem.
Yeah.
Because from there, there's a bunch of problems. Let's say you're running a Linux application using the bash stuff under Windows 10. Windows applications, let's say a bit of malware, can actually inject stuff onto the running Linux application, basically just by altering RAM parameters, because that's how Windows works. That's how Windows always works.
Yeah, I mean, you can modify the Linux to get a hold of the Windows API, get access to system calls. Basically, use Windows to mess with the Linux, and Linux is going to mess back.
Yeah. And Windows wasn't developed with the Linux kernel in mind, so even a teeny tiny, mostly harmless bug on a truly native Linux environment is going to turn into a full-blown security breach under Windows.
No, it won't. Strider, tell them that will not happen, because people totally didn't get their boxes owned last week because they gave right permission.
No, I failed to understand where this would start to be an issue. Even the creator, the guy who did the talk at the Black Hat conference, said that this was not widespread enough to be an issue currently. Then, I mean, the article on eWeek is a little bit dumbed down, so it doesn't explain where this would be a problem. And the slides from Ionescu, the guy who did the talk, well, without the talk, they were a little bit too technical for me to understand anything. So I don't know where the problem is exactly. What I do know is, well, they were mentioning this app locker thing. So this is something that will say, no, you can't run this Windows app. And they looked surprised that you could bypass this app locker thing with Linux.
Are you saying they need something along the lines of SE Linux or App Armor?
Yeah, I mean,
well, they need some enforcement, because they just let Linux is just basically running at the system, and Honey Linux don't give a darn.
Nope.
No, and that's not a surprise. I mean, did you expect it for AppLocker to work within Linux? That wouldn't make sense.
I don't know. I mean, this is just Microsoft. Because I was listening to some just general banter of people. It was some podcast, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, Windows 10 update, and here's a way to trick it to not do these updates." And I was like, "You are actively defending something that is out to attack you."
Yeah,
and that's your operating system. Stockholm syndrome, much. But this wouldn't be a party unless we brought some alcohol to it. And trust me, I absolutely do have a little glass of sports water right here. Get Down. Yeah, good God. It's a script which moderates your Git committing activity based on your BAC, your blood alcohol content. It uses Drink Shield for Arduino as a breathalyzer and a Ruby script as the Git hook. It sounds kind of fun. It does. Because I kind of looked into that and I was like, don't make one of these. And I was like, come on, make one. And I was like, all right. No, really, I didn't. Because I'm scared first time I used mine, it would just explode. But you could definitely adapt, not just Git. This probably would have saved me a few embarrassing moments, not now in my old age, but rewind, 10 years ago, like maybe a text message or an email, Strider.
No, I don't think I've regretted any code I've coded while drunk or tipsy, because the alcohol, the default level is quite low. I mean, it's
Ballmer Peak.
5%, and they have this funny mode that you can enable, which is Ballmer mode, and it will only let you commit between 0.13 and 0.15%. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. No, I mean, what seems a little bit more dangerous is enabling commits while hungover. That seems a little bit more risky.
Just Git force commit, yeah. You don't want to use force. If you're contemplating force on a Git commit, just go back and look at everything you did. You're probably doing it wrong. Just saying.
No, it's not force on commits. It's force on push. Usually, if you do
you commit force, then force push. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite thing was the backwards Insanity Wolf meme that was code sober, debug drunk, and I was like, that's pretty good. But if you want to take a break from drinking and leave some message, why would you do that? But hey, man, if you do, we'll probably get back to you, right?
Yeah, we will. Just find the original post, say on Facebook, Twitter, or even Google+. If you find my post, Ven's post, Strider's post, Jordan's post.
I have right at 5,000 people following me and commenting on my stuff on G+. That's at your own risk. If you really want to lower the percentage chance, because I wake up in the morning to set the notifications.
At that point, you're probably better off actually leaving a comment on YouTube.
Yes.
There's a lot less people commenting on our videos on YouTube, so that's probably the best way to do it. Or even on Patreon. If you're one of our Patreons, you can also leave us a comment there. Or if you'd like to do it the old-fashioned way.
Speaking of Patreons, I got to interrupt you. I don't feel bad about it either, but I'm going to do it. We're giving away, because we had that extra copy of Skullgirls. Last week we gave away a copy of Payday 2, which was delivered. Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday delivers. Man, LGC cares. But we're giving away that copy of Skullgirls to our Patreon. So if you want to check out last Saturday's Linux Gamecast Weekly for the instructions to do that. And it's nothing stupid. It's basically the same thing. We're not going to make you like our page and click a billion things to get all your personal information. That's not how we roll. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but if you want to send us some feedback the old-fashioned way, linuxgamecast.com, contact button, fill out the form. It's easy enough. Just pick LWDW on the little drop box. Like some people actually, they actually didn't. I think there's probably one of these is from the contact button. The other one was a comment on YouTube, namely this first one. Aurélien Jérémy Cateur. Strider? That was French. That was code. Come on.
No, that's I don't know the real name because it's.
Are you kidding me? Look, I intentionally used a French font. That's how language
that's
looks.
That's not a French font. That's Latin one.
I think Bradley has some issues with UTF-8. Just saying.
Anyway, I'm going to read this. Kicks, because, we were talking about being a filthy dual booting heathen, and why do people still run the Windows? Is this reasons of not getting kicked out of the parents' home? I'm still a dirty dual booting heathen. We're using our own phrasing here. Still, thanks to you guys, I turned out to run public playtest of Polynomial 2. Good on you. More details there, followed by link.fr. He's one of you, Frenchie. Once I grabbed my Zotac Steam machine to continue the public testings, making people play on a machine that runs SteamOS. Can I have a shout out through display of a photo?
Yeah, there was no photo.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
There might be some photos in the Blogspots websites.
I looked at it. I didn't see any photos. I saw a screenshot. Period.
There's a YouTube video.
Okay, that's brilliant, man.
Up next.
Yeah, coming up next.
Up next, Satrak actually said, excellent, guys, on getting the build script out on GitHub. This is a big, big thank you to Vent and Strider for the FFmpeg and VEnc. And he keeps on saying that, I'm really glad you did that. I used it, and it works. So, good job.
Strider, we failed. They're able to use it.
People can use it out of the box.
There is still one issue with the scripts I need to figure out, which is why it does require the libx264 package installed.
Well, have you tried building that without it?
Enabling the static
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to run some tests.
Or just like do that because it makes it work. But let's not worry about little things like that I told Strider a month ago. Let's go ahead and close this show down. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Pedro and I will return along with our Canadian Saturday. Yeah, I think we might be doing an early show if everything works right. See, I jinxed it, man. There's no way that's happening now. Stupid Finn.
Although Truggy will appreciate it. I am Peter Mateos.
And I am Mathieu Commandant.
Okay. Cheers.
Bye.